It's your boy Doe back at it again with my boy Richie Pinelli, doing another deep dive. I think this is session 3, and today we're going to be covering the track Blind. And Blind was on which album?
On the album Rap Paper Scissors.
Okay.
The song's produced by the Jiggawatts.
Okay.
Where that's a collective group made up of Idle Hands and Russell Cook. And for people that don't know Russell Cook, highest tier of engineering.
Yeah.
Went to school at USC, really doesn't get any higher than that. In fact, when Idle Hands told me about Russ, he kind of told me like, hey, everything we've done up to this point, like throw out the window. He's like, we were always confined and limited in what we could do technology-wise. He's like, now your imagination, you can do whatever you want, and Russ can do it. So you can see it in the album, but we took a lot of risk and tried stuff we would never try before. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up.
I should mention also the video. The video was shot by someone named Adam Doe. He's the same person that shot America.
Okay.
And edited Jeff Dow and Adam did America. But then Pharaoh Davis, Dorm Room Music, edited this video. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into Blind.
6 days to Sunday, diss me but they watch me. Use red balloon for the models like a runway. The tiger ain't tame, boy, Roy ass Siegfried. Lion, Nittany, my Penn State sickly. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what were you going for there?
So, 6 days to Sunday, just a general term that's been used forever, saying, you know, every way you can to get to this point. Okay. People were, I wasn't used to it. I'd always, I never had any criticism thrown at me, and I guess it was a good sign when you start doing something right. You start getting that. So looking back, that was it. But the Red Balloon was an album we made around that time. The Red Balloon was an album that we took a lot of risks and very unorthodox approach to it. We had live musicians. We tried some rock and roll stuff like Jilly Don't Cry. The album, even though it's on a very small level, Reno, Nevada, you know, actually got Album of the Year. And so it was cool. So I said 6 days of Sunday, they diss me, but they watch me. They use Red Balloon for the Models Like a Runway. The Models Like a Runway could have been taken two ways. Models walk on a runway, but I was more talking about how they were using that album as a blueprint.
Right.
There were skits and the way we set it up to where they were using that as a blueprint or a model.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what's up.
After that, I think it said, the tiger ain't tame, boy, Roy asked Siegfried. There was a group called Siegfried and Roy. The tiger ate Roy or Siegfried or both. I was just basically to say, like, I've always been nice and patient and kind and giving, but I was getting a lot of like just friendly fire and doubting my skill, so I said, "Watch out, the tiger."
Yeah, you know. It makes sense. Don't wait the sleeping tiger.
Yeah. Then it said, "Lion, Nittany, my Penn State sickly." That's one that I think was a little deeper because at that time that was the time period where Sandusky at Penn State football was in all that trouble for inappropriate behavior to say the least.
Yeah. And that's not to minimize it either. What he was charged with, very serious crimes, and he was held accountable.
Yeah, it was disgusting. It was sickly.
Yes. Exactly.
So I was referring to that, the Penn State Nittany Lion. So Lion coming after Tiger. Lion's Nittany, my Penn State sickly, but Penn State in that case referred to my pen.
Pen gang. Yeah.
My pen gang can be sickly.
Got you. Yep.
Yeah, something changed in me cause I gave up the caddying. So I don't pass the clubs much, it's got them all mad again. Say I stopped.
So I caught this one on my initial playthrough, and I was like, that's a little dope play on words. It's like your again pen game is dope as hell, because just how you flip bars, you know what I mean, and you give them those double entendres where you hear this But you know what I mean. You're saying this, and it's just like that's dope. So give me the caddy and the club line.
Lying in my Penn State sickly. Guess something changed in me because I gave up the caddying, so I don't pass the clubs much. It's got them all mad again. During that time period, I had stopped going out. You know, like there'd always be before that open mics and clubs, and you'd always see me. And this was a time period where between working as a doctor and having our first kid and just so much going on, my dad was sick, I just wasn't out.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't pass the clubs much. Like in golf, a caddy will pass the club to the guy he's caddying for. And I said I wasn't passing the clubs much, meaning the clubs, I wasn't out to them. They said I didn't pass the clubs much. It's got them all mad again. They say I stopped grinding when the club they quote grinding in is playing my music and I'm at home ironing. Because people would call me from these clubs like, hey, they're playing your song, like night after night. They're like, you're playing your song in here, they're playing your song. But then at the same time, you had people saying, Richie, stop grinding, he's not out. The clubs, but I found it ironic, they're playing my song at the club. They're saying, Richie's not grinding it.
Right.
While I'm home ironing. So that's where that came from.
And I took that because I caught that. But then the other part of that is I took, for me, the word, I'm going to say elevation. It was an elevation for you. The caddy is handing the clubs up to the golfer, you know. So the caddy is on this level. So you've evolved to the golfer level. But then you've also evolved to another, this is again my take from your lyrics, like you've evolved to a whole other state where, you're out there in the clubs, but now I found something else that I've elevated to, or I've evolved to another level to where, I'm still getting played, but I'm at home ironing, you know what I mean? I'm on a family man type shit, you know what I mean? So there's, again, I think we talked about this on the last one, the levels of it. There are levels to life. It ain't just, even outside of the music realm, we have to continue to evolve or we cease to exist. In my mind, if you're just in that same place, you might as well be dead if you're not evolving to something better, something different. So that's something I took from that whole phrase, from caddying, clubbing to ironing. I was like, you just see the levels, you see the elevation, you see the evolution of Richie. In another way, I took that because when I first our first encounter, paths crossing, you were apprentice. So there's that's that other evolution. Is like now you have evolved from the apprentice. I'm no longer the caddy. I am Richie. I am the artist that you see before you.
That.
So again, those are just hearing this line. I could kind of getting to know you over this short period of time. I just started to process that line in particular. I started to process it, and you can see again the growth, becoming whatever you're going to end up being, whatever your final form is. Yeah, just discussing that on that level. So that's just something I took from that.
No, that's cool. And I look back and there's some parallels because the same people that I kind of looked up to in music who were kind of showing me the way and leading the way were the same people that were, in my opinion, great fathers. and Dialect, Dash, Pharaoh Davis, Lafayette, everyone was showing like, hey, that's first, right? Like, music's cool, but you got to take care of your kids. So it was cool that the same people that showed me music showed me that.
Yeah.
I'll put metaphysical in there too.
It's a lot of great people that have learned to balance home and family life and the music. It's hard, but it can be done. You see it,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Stop grinding when the club they quote grinding in is playing my music and I'm at home ironing. But what's the use of fighting when they all Chris Bales and they all swear the music's more crack than what you sell? And instead of helping you, they only interested in themselves. Talk about the Sugar Rays they fought when they were 12.
Okay, I'm gonna get into what I took from at least the couple bars earlier, but I want to hear. Give me. So I'll know if I'm on the right path.
Well, how about you tell me what you were thinking.
So we may have to rewind a little just to go back, but you said, what's the use of fighting when they're all Chris Bales or something like that? And so for me, the nerd of me automatically went to probably one of the greatest comic book film trilogies ever made, the Dark Knight trilogy, with Christian Bale as the Dark Knight. And by the end of it, you even saw his evolution There we go with that again. In the second one, where he wanted to pass the torch on. It's like so I felt like that again. You're very good at that. Again, just sliding little like winks at the camera, like, hey, pay attention here. I'm saying something here. Pay attention.
Right.
So that one, and then there was a line after that. What was the line after the Chris Bell line?
Why don't we rewind it?
Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. Okay.
By the way, Jill says, like, and Dialect says, how come in every video you're getting beat up or killed?
Well, I was going to ask about that. Eventually we get to that because, and there's actually a line in here I have to bring to your attention later, but we'll go ahead. So we're back at the. Make sure it's still okay. Cool. So we're back here. I want to catch this line.
Jimmy, cause I gave up the caddying, so I don't pass the clubs much. It's got them all mad again. Say I stopped grinding when the club they quote grinding in is playing my music, and I'm at home ironing. But what's the use of fighting when they all Chris Bales and they all swear the music's more crack than what you sell? And instead of helping you, they only interested in themselves. Talk about the Sugar Rays they fought when they were 12 and late.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's the use of fighting when they all Chris Bales and they all swear the music's more crack than what you sell?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of helping you, they only interested in themselves. Still talk about the Sugar Rays they fought when they were 12.
Yep. So then you got your crack. You're talking about everybody's dope. Everybody's dope.
So Chris Bale, that was a Dark Knight reference, but it was also his later movie, or the one he did with Mark Wahlberg called The Fighter.
The Fighter. Okay. Yep.
And Chris Bale was a fighter from back in the day. He was Mark Wahlberg's trainer, but he would always talk about how he fought Sugar Ray.
See, I never caught that movie.
And Mark Wahlberg had moved up and was a fighter in his own right, and it was just a play on words talking about how I had moved up, I had gained skills, and I was holding my own as a fighter, and that was a reference to that. Okay. Without going into it.
So now I need to watch The Fighter is what you're telling me to catch that. But yeah, that was a dope bar.
And lately you would swear I had a mic on running full blast. Everyone next to me was a speaker from the way that they all gotta stand so close and give me feedback, especially when all they did added.
Okay. So you know this because you're an engineer and an audiophile, but when you put something too close to a microphone, it causes feedback. Yep. So when sound goes in and then gets picked up again by the same microphone, it causes a loop and there's feedback.
Yep.
And that was a play on words because I was getting a lot of feedback from everybody. You should do it this way. You shouldn't do it that way. You're going way too unorthodox. You got to keep it hip hop. You're doing rock songs. You're doing this and that. And so it just was a play on words about the literal term feedback from a microphone, and people standing so close, everybody wanted to give me feedback, especially when all they did added up can equal one track that I did. That's what it says.
That's what's up.
And right about here in the video, this is when we had no budget and we had to look like I'm falling out of a car. So this is like when you're a little kid making a movie and you're like, how do we look like we're flying or falling out of a car? So this is when GoPros first came out, and we tied one up in this ball and literally threw the GoPro camera out the back of the truck, and then I fell back, We did a lot of creative stuff with that.
It's awesome how the lack of funds will increase your creativity.
Right.
I feel like some of my most creative work was done when I was still trying to get money,
Looking back, I don't think we could have shot it better, even if we had, it was creative and it worked, I thought.
That's what's up.
Did add it up, could equal one track that I did. Sorry, you're not the ones getting shot at. You reported, speakers, preachers, figured I'm the soldier, gave you all that. Freedom of press, speech, freedom of religion, and truthfully, I ain't got the heart.
Okay.
So you said a line prior to this about being shot at, I believe, and then referencing yourself as a surgeon. Did you serve?
No, but
okay.
Highest respect ever for soldiers and anyone that served, so that we could live this life.
Yes.
But when I said that, there's two types of people. There's the people on the field playing the game, and then there's the people in the sidelines. And in this case, a lot of people who weren't even playing the game or recording songs or doing shows were the same people saying, you got to do it this way, that way.
Isn't it always like that? It's always like man, like, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
It's very often that's how it is. Is that
Right.
that one person like you've never done this before,
Yeah.
like, and you don't want to be an asshole. Like, I feel like we're very very similar in that. Like you're humble, you'll accept the feedback, you'll accept the analysis, but it's like at the same time you're questioning why. You know.
Oh, I'm so open to feedback and because I've learned a lot from people, and there's been a lot of times I thought I was right and I was wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that and sometimes someone just trying to steer you a different way
Yes.
when they've never done it.
Yeah.
So, could we rewind it one little
Yep.
step here? I want to talk about the soldier part.
Yep.
By the way, same thing with the GoPro camera. We really took a semi-truck and drove over a GoPro camera. And the dude whose GoPro camera it belonged to was quite scared during that part when a semi-truck was running it over.
All that freedom of press, speech, freedom of religion, and truthfully, I ain't got the heart to tell them, so their opinions.
You reporters, preachers, teachers, forget I'm the one that gave you all that. Freedom of press, speech, freedom of religion. So they said, what was it? Preachers, teachers. So a teacher, let me think here. Soldiers are basically to thank for all of those professions, right? It's not the reporter who gave us freedom of press.
Right.
It's the soldier.
Right.
It's not the preacher that gave us freedom of religion. It's the soldier.
Right. Okay.
And so I was saying, again, I was putting stuff out, and it was the producers I worked with and me and us, but it wasn't these people who were telling me I was doing everything wrong. And a lot of times they were getting on my bill and on my shows, and I didn't understand all the friendly fire. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's what that's talking
Okay.
about.
I get that.
And truthfully, I ain't got the heart to tell them, so their opinions, I just non-listen.
And again, I go.
I just nod and listen. I wonder why I perceive them as fly when on the fly seems the name's always missing. Or why everywhere to me always seems brighter than where I'm sitting, and everything they drinking looks cooler than what I'm sipping.
Get him, Richie. Damn.
Hey, that was Pharaoh Davis. I should point out, the guy who edited this video was Pharaoh Davis. One of my very best friends in the world, and we started dorm room music in a dorm room when I ran track at Utah State, and he played basketball there. There's a whole story behind that. But Pharaoh came out, and he was a fireman. We always called ourselves the unprofessional professionals because I was a doctor, he was a fireman.
That's what's up.
But on the side, we did this, and he's wearing his actual fireman outfit.
Oh, really?
An actual fire, apparatus, oxygen,
Oh, nice.
and a stretcher. And the other guy there, Aaron Geisel, he's also a fireman. So
That's what's up.
I just blanked on the whole lines. I was talking more about that.
Yeah, but still, that's dope visually, and when we play it back at the end and everyone gets to see the video, they'll pick up on that. Again, it's a deep dive. So while it initially started out in the first one you guys see, there was no video in the background, but again, levels, it's evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're incorporating the video concept into it, and you not only will you be able to hear what you're talking about lyrically, but visually they'll go back and they'll be able to catch what we're seeing right now, what we're seeing in the moment. You'll be able to see yourself.
Yeah, and to that point, if you guys could see right now, the guy who made the video, Adam, made this jacket, and it had this huge attachment with the GoPro camera facing me. So you'll notice in almost all these shots, that was very creative how he did that, but there's a camera pointing at me as I'm walking, and in this case, as I'm crowd surfing.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So, let's see what it says here.
It's funny how you were calling in front of thousands.
Well, I want to back up a little bit because so our interactions haven't got on that more of a personal level. But I want to take it back to where you were talking about again. We're discussing these individuals that all seem to have an opinion about you, and it's funny how they're saying this, but they're not mentioning it anywhere. I think that was one of the lines. But then the other thing was about the drinks. Now you were saying, and everything they're sipping on looks so much more colorful than what I'm sipping. And I took that as like, especially when I'm working, when I'm in a professional setting, as far as whether it's performing. Well, if I'm on stage, I'm going to have a beer. I'm sorry, I got to loosen up a little bit. But when I'm in a professional setting and I'm working, I don't imbibe in any kind of alcoholic beverages. I try to stay focused, and so it's water, it's H2O, and but there are some people that especially the most talkative ones when alcohol gets in.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that's what I took from that too. That was just me taking that from that scene. So.
Yeah, and some of the most talented musicians I've worked with, that's been unfortunately a curse, where to handle the nerves they would partake in some libations and it would just blow the show. Yeah,
and that's the unfortunate thing. It's like you gotta have that balance, and I'm guilty of it. I've done it before, but you gotta, because one thing I always say about any kind of creative is we're masking something. Comedians, a lot of people say comedians, really, that comedy comes from a dark place. I think musicians, especially writers, lyricists, we write from real lyricists, and I'm not going to get into the whole real and fake lyricist kind of debate right now, but when you're writing your lyrics, you write from your perspective, you write from your experiences in life, and so I can understand why people would do that, because you're trying to, while you're opening yourself up to this judgment, and that can be frightening, and sometimes to not really think about it, you want to put your mind in another place. So a shot of Hennessy, smoking some weed, some whatever, it kind of mellows you out, but some people don't know when to back off of it, unfortunately. Some people, it becomes so mind altering, and they don't realize it till it's too late. Now, I'm not trying to pass judgment on anybody. I don't want that to come across as judgmental, again, because I am guilty of my own personal sins that, so that was that.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. It also said, funny how I perceived them as fly, or went on the fly, since their name's always missing. There did get a point to where people I was looking up to, I don't know, I was on the flyer, they weren't, and I still was so in awe of them and humbled by them that I would have them make decisions for me on stuff I probably should have made decisions for.
And then that's the flip side of it, is why they were making those comments. Is like, it probably in the back of their mind is like, why is he on this flyer? I should be there. They probably thought of themselves as better than you, which is probably what led to some of the input and feedback you probably got over time. Is
Right. Yeah.
I had someone come up to me. I'll never mention the artist's name. I started off as a battle rapper. When I got into rap, that's why I started off as a battle rapper. So, but unless you know me, you don't really know that. You know what I mean? I just write my music. But I was in a battle at one point, and this guy was coming, and he's giving me pointers on how to battle. And I want to put, there was part of me like, bro, I know what the fuck I'm doing. But I just listened. I just absorbed it. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, it's not there. Like, okay, cool, I got you. I got you. I'm like, all right, I know what I'm doing. let me zone out for a minute, man. But, so you see that very often, like, people will perceive, they don't know, so that not knowing your history, though, they assume, which we all know.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's just your actions speak louder than words. So put out a good product.
Yes, 100%.
Out of control, with you the one steering, her face is...
Earlier it said, it's funny how you feel alone in front of thousands all cheering.
Yes.
There's some real irony there. You got thousands of people cheering you, and you're up on stage feeling hella alone. And
and especially if you give them a deep track like this, again, like opening yourself up.
Yeah, these are vulnerable songs. The last one we did, Control, was fun and happy, but some of these are really you are putting it out there.
Just a blur, cause the makeup keeps smearing. So the girl that used to laugh and smile keeps disappearing. And Jilly still cry, even though I tell her not to. And I can't really blame
I took part of that line about the makeup smearing and the vision is blurring, and I kind of tied that into the song itself, Blind. Because when I've never worn makeup, but from what I understand, when you're crying and starts to get in women's eyes, then it kind of makes you blind. But then the flip side of that is because you referenced your wife at one point, Jilly, right? So when you reference her, I also took the analogy, love is blind. You know what I mean? So you're looking for this love, but you can't find it right now. So she's not there.
Right.
And as the song goes on, it gets, at least for me, you start to touch on that a little more.
And this was a vulnerable moment, and Jilly wouldn't mind me saying it, but there was a time where my dad was dealing with cancer. And it was the same time when Nico was born, and that's a time a father needs to be home and helping. But literally every night at about 10 o'clock, I'd leave, go. My dad was a caretaker for my stepmom who had MS, so we had to lift her up the couch every night, put her in bed. He couldn't. We did it. So I was gone at a time where I should have been there. Yeah. And she was supportive of it, but it was really hard on her, and it caused some strife with us. And I love her to death, and we're great to this day, but that was a hard season. Yeah. And so I said from the video, Jilly, don't cry. And Jilly don't cry even though I tell her not to. And I can't really blame her after all the things that I do. Then it said, the day we became blood and say the words I do is the day we got jumped in and started seeing all blue.
Like that. Yep.
And that's the whole Crips and Bloods reference. And when you get married, you're one, you become blood. But the day we got married was the day we had the blues because we started seeing all this. So it was a play on words. Maybe that was obvious to everybody, but I never knew if it would be.
It was. I caught it, but and we haven't got to that line yet. But yeah, I took all of that, and I feel as a married man, I feel 100%. I agree 100% with you. You know, we're our gang now. We're our team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So regardless of what you go through, and I will say, I said it the other day too about all relationships. If it's a meaningful relationship that you want to work, you're gonna have to compromise on something. Absolutely. So for her to be supportive of that time. So I didn't know your backstory with your father and your stepmom when they met. I was taking it from the perspective because when I was really active out in the streets, I was out at these clubs. I'm out performing. I have to go out of town. I can't take the family with me. You know what I mean? That created in strife in relationships I was in at the time, and because everybody isn't going to be as supportive. Everybody doesn't understand like that get up and go mentality, and it can create friction. You know what I mean? Yeah. And tension. So initially, going off that line in the club stuff, that's what I think. So what you just said makes it even deeper. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even more deeper than just what a regular musician would experience in. I got to be at the show, baby. I have to present this persona that I'm available, even though I'm not available. You know what I mean? That's part of the thing, at least with record labels, what they try to sell is they want these women to think they can, these women to think that they can be with these artists. And maybe I'm giving away too much of the behind the scenes game, so.
Well, especially when you're doing shows and you're not making money. If you're out making $30,000 a show or $1 million a show, that's one thing. The wife would be very supportive. Yes. But when you're at the stage where you're trying to make it and you're not making money at these shows and it's more just paying dues, that's a little harder. And I have so much to owe to Jill, and she supported me through thick and thin when we weren't making any money at shows, when I wasn't available and she needed me at home, and like your wife supports you and knows that you need to be doing this in order to be the best husband you can be. Yeah. But that's easier said than done for a wife. Yes. So,
and it's good of you. I'm not gonna say good of you, but it's cut good for me. But it's awesome that you are aware of her perspective and her, because a lot of people would be like oblivious or naive, or she's just nagging, and they don't see the sacrifices that your significant other makes for your success, and it's a team.
And in some cases, they're giving up their dreams so that you can make yours come true. Yeah. She was in her own right, editor for a newspaper.
That's what's up.
Writer extraordinaire. She danced. I mean, so she was putting stuff on hold for me.
Yeah, that's what's up.
After all the things that I do, the day we became blood and said the words I do was the day we got jumped in and started seeing all blue. So many in this gang, divorced parents and two Thanksgivings and Christmases. Just thought one day I'd find you.
Okay, so on a video line, this was really cool to me because that is a famous casino in Reno, Nevada called the El Dorado. Yeah. And for this scene, we needed to look like we were jumping off of the top of a building into a pool. Mm-hmm. And the El Dorado had a pool at the bottom of this huge, 40-story casino building. We liked the lights in the El Dorado. They're classic, the pink lights. And it was one of the coolest moments for me because we could tell the guy, okay, turn on the lights, and it just went, the pink lights came on. So we felt like ballers even though we weren't. And then to get this to work, we had to look like I'm jumping off the roof. This is where the first time we ever used a green screen. So we had a table green screen, and if you look, I jumped over the green screen in the studio, but it looks like I'm jumping over the wall.
Nice.
Has
that didn't happen yet, Scott? Because I saw you guys running.
Let's rewind it, and I think we can show it. I got to show off my track skills in the parking garage running. I've mentioned Fred from Rare Breed, my friend who supported me. He's driving the car in this.
That's what's up.
Okay, so here we go.
Even though I tell her not to, and I can't really blame her after all the things that I do. The day we became blood and said the words I do was the day we got jumped in and started seeing all blue. So many in this gang, divorced parents and two. Thanksgivings and Christmases, just thought one day I'd find you.
Okay, so blanking on the words here, but thought one day I'd find you, or at least not find us in those shoes, the same shoes I saw my parents arguing when I was just 2. Life is such a... Okay, so I'm talking about so many in this club. There's so many in the club of divorced parents. My parents were divorced, and I didn't want to repeat that. And again, going back to this hard season, it's one of the only hard seasons Joe and I ever had, but didn't want to go there. Didn't want to go into the divorce.
Yeah.
Where there's 2 Thanksgivings and 2 Christmases, because you go to your mom's for this one, and then you go to your dad's for the night one, and that's where that was coming from. Yeah. Thanksgivings and Christmases, just thought one day I'd find you, or that we'd find us, or at least not find those shoes, the same ones my parents arguing when I was just 2.
Gotcha. That's dope.
Find you, or that we find us, or at least not find those shoes, the ones I saw my parents arguing when I was just 2. Life is such a puzzle, I keep searching for these crosswords, Jesus and faith, and usually just when life
is such a puzzle, I keep searching for these crossword puzzle. Life is such a puzzle, I keep searching for these crosswords, faith and Jesus. I took the word crosswords and put like cross. Like the cross Jesus died on.
See, I blew over all of that. Not necessarily blew over. I was trying to find what was going on in it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I was searching for crosswords like Jesus, like faith.
Gotcha. That's lazy. That's bars. That's like thinking about what you say before you say it. A lot of you could benefit from that. Sorry.
Well, I keep searching for these crosswords, faith, Jesus, and faith, and usually just when life hurts. Let's see what it says.
So when I'm in the foxhole, he's the father, then I'm Nico. At 16, always asking for the keys so I could go.
Alright, so my son's name's Nico, and there's a saying like, you'll never find an atheist in a foxhole. Like when you're really going through it and something's bad, you start searching out. Or if you search out for God and you're praying to God, it's always to ask Him for something. Like, hey, if you give me this, I promise I'll be cool. And I compared it to, Nico was not 16 at the time, and he's still not 16, but I compared it to like when a kid's 16 years old and says, Dad, let me borrow the keys, they only want to get something from you. Like, I only want to ask you for something, so I'm only praying to get my whatever.
Yeah.
Just like a kid would ask for the keys just so he could get out, and he's not trying to hang out with you, you know?
Yep, makes sense.
But I know he's watching over me. Yeah, take my bad and turn it good. I know, that's the irony. When I'm a dead poet,
but I know he's watching over me. Take my bad and turn it good. I think, like, I do think God takes bad and can always turn it into good. You know, and so I said, I know that's the irony. When I'm a dead poet, will society even remember me? We are the music makers. Maybe I gave him too much of it. You've seen Dead Poet Society?
I've seen parts of it. I've never watched the entire movie. With is that the one with Matt Damon?
It has Robin. I think that's Good Will Hunting, but Dead Hunting. Dead Poet Society had Robin Williams, and he was a professor.
I remember that.
And he would say, "We are the music makers."
Okay.
And then so I said, when I'm a dead poet, will society even remember me? Play on Dead Poet Society.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, I've got 2 movies I need to watch. I've added to my watch list, so
it's
next
a
time
great
we chop
movie.
it up.
I highly recommend it.
poet, will society even remember me? We are the music makers, maybe I gave them too much of me. Nothing's what this music made us, and Jilly took it seriously. When I was away to shows, and she's probably like, seriously? Life is moving so much faster than I thought it'd ever be. Airplanes and wristwatches, watch time fly, remember me. I promise what I gave you, that's my everything.
Yeah.
That's the
Maybe I
realest
gave
me.
too much to me. Nothing's what this music made us. And Jilly still took me seriously. And a line I've used this since, but wristwatches and airplanes watch time fly. Remember me.
So I think this is we said this session number 3, and
I think I've used it every second. Recycle those lyrics.
Maddie gonna get you.
I know, man. Last time I threw it off, I watched up a clip. I hate watches, man. I just throw off clips and I just throw them off airplanes. Watch time fly. Remember me. I promise what I gave you. That's my everything. That's the realest me.
So what I and I'm glad. So since we're at the end, and I was trying to save it for so a question I had, and then I'll tell you what I took from this. Why did you name this Blind? Why was the track called Blind?
Boy, that's a good question. I want to say either the beat that Idle Hands gave me was called Blind, or this is one of the rare times we had a vision for the video before we had the song, and I knew I wanted to be blindfolded. And when you took the blindfold off, Pharaoh and I tried to make this video like a year before in Sacramento. We literally guerrilla style went onto the Sacramento freeway and parked right in the middle, and he had this curtain thing, and he went like this, and all of a sudden there's 4 lanes of traffic coming at you. And when we realized we were like literally gonna get killed, we drove and ditched that idea. But then we thought you could just use a blindfold, and so a lot of new like video innovations from people just trying to do it with no budget. Even the water scene at the end, that was the first time where we like literally put the camera inside a bag, a plastic bag.
I just like the innovative thoughts. But so before I lose my train of thought, the reason I asked that because this song was a very self-aware song. There was nothing in it about, you being blind. So it frustrates me that I maybe saw more into it than...
I just had an epiphany when you said that.
Yeah.
The song that Matt gave me was called Introspective.
Okay.
Which really ties into what you're saying.
Okay.
And I think when we made the video, we changed it to Blind.
Okay. That's what it was. 'Cause I was
but
like,
you caught that.
Yes.
Obviously.
It's like there's nothing blind about this. You are very aware of whether it's the people trying to lead you in one direction, the things you went through with your wife, to get to the level you're at right now. It was like so I was just curious. I'm like, was that a play on Blind?
No,
because you're very self-aware. You're very conscious and cognizant of everything that's going on around you, and I thought that was pretty dope.
Well, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Blind. Yan Doe, Richie Pinelli. Hope you guys like it. So we'll set the track off and tell me what you think. If you find something, make sure you leave a comment and let us know if we missed something.
Days to Sunday, diss me but they watch me. Use red balloon for the models like a runway. The tiger ain't tame, boy. Roy asked Siegfried. Lion, Nittany, my Penn State sickly. Yeah, something changed in me cause I gave up the caddying. So I don't pass the clubs much, it's got them all mad again. Say I stopped grinding when the club they quote grinding in is playing my music and I'm at home ironing. But what's the use of fighting when they all Chris Bales? And they all swear the music's more crack than what you sell. And instead of helping you, they only interested in themselves. Talk about the Sugar Rays they fought when they were 12. And lately you would swear I had a mic on running full blast. Everyone next to me was a speaker from the way that they all gotta stand so close and give me feedback. Especially when all they did added up could equal one track that I did. Sorry, you're not the ones getting shot at. You reporters, speakers, preachers, figured I'm the soldier, gave you all that. Freedom of press, speech, freedom of religion. And truthfully, I ain't got the heart to tell them so their opinions I just not listen. I wonder why I perceive them as fly when on the fly seems the name's always missing. Or why everywhere to me always seems brighter than where I'm sitting. And everything they drinking looks cooler than what I'm sipping. It's funny how you alone in front of thousands all cheering. Or how you feel out of control when you the one steering. Her face is just a blur cause the makeup keeps smearing. So the girl that used to laugh and smile keeps disappearing. And Jilly probably still cry, even though I tell her not to. And I can't really blame her after all the things that I do. The day we became blood and said the words I do was the day we got jumped in and started seeing all blue. So many in this gang, divorced parents and two. Thanksgivings and Christmases, just thought one day I'd find you. Or that we find us, or at least not find those shoes. The ones I saw my parents arguing when I was just 2. Life is such a puzzle, I keep searching for these crosswords. Jesus and faith, and usually just when life hurts. So when I'm in the foxhole, he's the father, then I'm Nico. At 16, always asking for the keys so I could go. But I know he's watching over me, yeah. Take my bad and turn it good, I know, that's the irony. When I'm a dead poet, will society even remember me? We are the music makers, maybe I gave them too much of me. Nothing's what this music made us, and Jilly took it seriously. When I was away at shows, and she's probably like, seriously? Life is moving so much faster than I thought it'd ever be. Airplanes and wristwatches, watch time fly, remember me. I promise what I gave you, that's my everything. That's the realest me.